Have you ever felt like your mind is a battlefield, pulled in 100 directions, trying to stay strong, yet breaking down inside? The world teaches us how to build careers, how to win arguments, how to chase success. But no one teaches us how to stay centered when everything outside us is falling apart. Today, I will share with you something powerful, not from a book, not from a theory, but from the silent whispers of life itself, the art of finding unshakable inner balance through God's wisdom. In this modern world, balance has become a rare luxury. People appear happy but are secretly drowning in anxiety. We smile outside but storms rage within. We scroll endlessly, talk constantly, yet feel emptier than ever. Why? Because we've lost our connection with the divine source of peace. We are trying to fix the inner world by rearranging the outer world. And it never works. Real balance doesn't come from a better job, a better phone, or even better people. It comes when we align our life with higher purpose, spiritual discipline, and divine understanding. Today, I'm not here to give you motivation that fades in a few hours. I want to leave you with principles that anchor your soul, ignite your purpose, and teach you how to walk through storms with the stillness of a monk. This is the secret to unshakable inner balance, and it begins not outside you, but within and above. There is a silent power in the present moment that most of us overlook. We spend so much of our lives caught between what happened yesterday and what might happen tomorrow that we rarely pause to experience what is unfolding right now. The mind is like a restless traveler. It keeps shifting, wandering from one thought to another, chasing illusions, analyzing the past, or worrying about a future that hasn't even arrived. But in doing so, we lose the essence of life. And that essence, that treasure, that secret to unshakable inner balance, lies in anchoring your mind in the present. Think of it this way. Imagine you are holding a glass of water and someone comes and starts shaking your hand violently. The water spills. The more your hand is shaken, the more difficult it becomes to keep the water steady. That's how life is. The glass is your mind. The water is your peace. The shaking is the external noise of life. Expectations, stress, people's opinions, past trauma, future fears. But if your hand is still, the water remains undisturbed. That stillness is what the present moment offers us. The world may still shake around you, but if you are rooted in now, your peace does not spill. Let me give you a simple example. Suppose you're sitting at dinner with your family, but your mind is not there. You're thinking about the meeting tomorrow, the mistake you made in a conversation last week, or maybe even what someone said to you on social media. Physically, you're present, but emotionally, you're absent. You miss the warmth of the meal, the laughter of a child, the tired but loving eyes of your parents, the comfort of home. And then one day, you look back and say, where did all that time go? That moment, when you were surrounded by everything that matters, was never truly lived because your mind was somewhere else. We often say, I wish I could find peace, or I wish I could be happier. But the truth is, peace is not something you find. It's something you feel. When you stop looking for it everywhere else, and instead learn to be here, fully now. Have you ever watched a sunset? When you're truly watching it, not taking pictures, not scrolling your phone, not thinking about your to-do list, just watching, you feel something shift inside you, a certain silence, a calmness. That is the power of being in the present moment. The divine doesn't live in the past or future. The past is gone, it's a shadow. The future is unborn, it's a dream. But this moment right now is a gift. That's why it's called the present. Every breath we take is a blessing. Every heartbeat is a silent reminder that life is still with us. When you become conscious of this, your heart slows down, your stress melts, and your inner chaos begins to settle. Look at how children live. They laugh with their whole heart. They cry without shame. They don't fake emotions or plan 5 years ahead. They play, they explore, they fall and rise again, completely immersed in the now. That is why their happiness is so real, so raw. Somewhere, as we grow older, we trade this spontaneity for overthinking. We replace wonder with worry. And slowly, we disconnect from the joy of being alive. Living in the present doesn't mean ignoring responsibilities or becoming careless. It means you do what needs to be done today with your full presence. You plan when it's time to plan. You reflect when it's time to reflect. But your mind doesn't dwell endlessly in places where your control ends. True spiritual growth is when you can sit silently in a room and feel full. When you can eat a meal and taste every bite. When you can walk on the street and actually notice the trees, the sky, the wind, without rushing towards something. The ancient scriptures and saints have always said, the path to God is not somewhere far away. It is through awareness. When we are aware of our thoughts, our actions, our feelings, we become conscious beings. We start living with intention instead of in reaction. And the more aware we are of each moment, the more connected we feel to the divine source of peace within. Try this the next time you feel overwhelmed. Pause. Take a deep breath. Feel the air fill your lungs. Feel your feet on the ground. Listen to the sounds around you. Let go of what happened before. Don't race toward what's next. Just be still. Just be here. In that moment, you will find something sacred, a stillness that speaks louder than words, a silence that is full of meaning. That is the beginning of balance. In every moment lies a choice, to be present or to be lost. Choose presence, because the secret to unshakable inner balance is not out there. It's here, in this breath, in this silence, in this now. Have you ever noticed how often your mind travels? Sometimes faster than your own footsteps. You could be sitting in a quiet room, but your thoughts are roaming through a painful memory from 3 years ago, or anxiously jumping ahead to something that might never even happen. We've all done it. The truth is, most of the inner chaos we feel doesn't come from the situations in our lives. It comes from where our mind chooses to sit, and most often, it's sitting either in the past or in the future. But peace, true peace, lives only in one place, the present moment. Imagine your mind like a bird. If the bird keeps flapping its wings wildly in every direction, it will soon tire, lose its rhythm, and possibly crash. But when the bird flies steadily, focused with grace, it goes farther, stronger, and with far less exhaustion. Our thoughts are the same. The more we let them wander, the more tired we become, not physically, but emotionally and spiritually. This is why anchoring your mind in the present is the first secret to inner balance. The mind is powerful, but it is also easily distracted. We must become the master, not the slave of our thoughts. Let's take a simple example from daily life. You're at dinner with your family. Plates are full, people are talking, but your mind is elsewhere. On that one email you haven't answered, that comment someone made 2 days ago, or the big meeting tomorrow morning. You smile, you nod, but you're not there. The present moment is rich, but you're missing it. What's happening here is not just disconnection from people, but disconnection from yourself. That dinner could be a memory, a moment of laughter, or a simple pause from the rush of life, but it's gone. And if this keeps happening day after day, we don't just lose moments, we lose life itself. Because life doesn't happen in yesterday or tomorrow. Life is happening now. Many people say they want peace, but peace isn't found by escaping life. Peace is found by engaging fully in the now. God has placed our power in this very moment. You don't have power over what already happened. You don't have control over what's coming. But you do have influence over what you choose to feel, think, and do right now. That's where transformation begins. One of the reasons we struggle to stay present is because the world we live in rewards busyness. We feel productive when our minds are constantly juggling 5 things. We believe overthinking means we're being responsible. But overthinking is like running on a treadmill. You're moving a lot, but you're not going anywhere. Staying present doesn't mean you stop caring about what's ahead. It means you stop losing yourself in what you can't control. It means you ground yourself so deeply in the now that you carry strength into the future rather than fear. Let's take another example. A student preparing for exams is overwhelmed by the pressure of results. She's not just studying, she's imagining what might happen if she fails, what others will say, how her future could be ruined. This constant forward projection drains her before she's even reached the exam room. But imagine if she took a breath, focused only on today's revision, respected the process, and left the rest to a higher force. She wouldn't just perform better, she'd walk lighter. This is what anchoring in the present looks like. It doesn't mean ignoring the future. It means not drowning in it. God has gifted us with one breath at a time. Yet we try to inhale the next day's worries while still holding yesterday's regrets. No wonder we feel suffocated. If we could simply learn to inhale this moment, to listen deeply when someone speaks, to walk without rushing, to eat without the phone in hand, to sit with ourselves without judgment, we would find a new strength rising from within, a stillness that no external chaos can disturb. Now think about the trees. They don't worry about autumn when spring is blooming. They don't mourn the fallen leaves when new ones are arriving. They are fully in tune with the season they're in. That is why they flourish naturally. As human beings, we were also meant to grow in alignment with the now. But instead of trusting the season, we resist it. Instead of aligning with the present, we fight it. And in doing so, we delay our own blossoming. Anchoring your mind in the present doesn't come from just hearing about it once. It's a practice. Start small. The next time you walk, notice your steps. The next time you eat, taste your food. The next time someone speaks, listen without preparing your reply. Every time your mind runs, gently call it back. Like a parent calls their child safely home. And know this, every time you return to the present, you return to peace. Because the present moment is not empty. It is full. Full of life, full of guidance, and full of the presence of God. When your mind rests in the now, your soul begins to hear what it was too busy to receive before. That is where inner balance begins. Not in changing your whole life, but in changing where you place your awareness. The mind, when anchored in the now, becomes your greatest friend. And in that friendship, you will find a balance so deep, it will carry you through every storm life throws your way. When we talk about anchoring the mind in the present, it may sound like a simple idea, yet it's one of the most profound spiritual practices that lead to true inner balance. Most of our suffering comes from either dwelling on the past or obsessing about the future. But life is not happening in the past or the future. It's happening right now, in this very moment. And if we miss this, we miss everything. The mind, by nature, is restless. It jumps from one thought to another, like a monkey swinging from tree to tree. One moment you are remembering something painful that happened years ago, and the next moment you're fearing something that hasn't even occurred yet. This constant mental time travel takes away your ability to be calm, peaceful, and focused. But what if we could bring our mind back home, into the now? Think about a student preparing for an exam. He sits with his books open, but his mind is filled with thoughts like, what if I fail? Or, why didn't I study last week? These thoughts are not helping him study. They are draining his energy. He is mentally trapped in the past and the future, while the only time he can actually make a difference is now. When you learn to bring your attention fully into the present, you begin to work with your full potential. Your decisions become sharper, your focus becomes deeper, and your inner balance becomes unshakable. Even spiritually, the divine presence of God can only be experienced in the now. God is not sitting in your past regrets or your future anxieties. He is here, now, waiting for you to show up. Another example is when someone goes through a heartbreak. The pain feels unbearable. The mind replays what was said, what went wrong, and what should have happened. The person stays stuck in the same emotional loop, hoping for a different past. But life doesn't work like that. The more we revisit the past, the more we bleed in the present. Healing begins the moment we stop asking, why did it happen to me? And start asking, what can I do now to grow stronger through it? That shift, just that one shift, from past, focused thinking to present, grounded awareness, is the beginning of emotional freedom. You don't need to forget the past. Just don't live there. Sometimes we believe that by worrying about the future, we are being responsible. But worrying and preparing are not the same. Preparation is done in the present. Worrying is a useless habit that feeds on fear and drains your peace. Imagine a man who is going for a job interview. He prepares his CV, practices his answers, dresses up well, but instead of staying calm, he keeps thinking, what if I mess up? Or what if they reject me? All that anxiety is not helping him. It's weakening his confidence. What he really needs is to trust his preparation, stay rooted in the present moment, and let things unfold. That is inner balance. Mindfulness is not about sitting silently for hours. It's about being fully awake to what you're doing. When you eat, eat with presence. When you speak, speak with awareness. When you walk, be conscious of each step. Slowly, you'll notice your mind becoming less noisy. Peace is not somewhere far away, it's always just a breath away, right here, in the now. The problem is, we keep searching for peace as if it's a destination when it's actually a way of living. When you wake up in the morning, don't let your first thought be about yesterday's problem or tomorrow's task. Pause. Breathe. Feel the gift of life. Express gratitude. Remind yourself, I will live this day fully, not mentally skip it while thinking about the next. That small ritual can change the tone of your whole day. It's the difference between being dragged by life or dancing with it. The present moment is the only moment where we can change anything. When you live here fully and mindfully, you carry a silent strength. You become less reactive, more patient, and deeply grounded. That is what it means to anchor your mind. And remember, this is not something that happens once. It's a practice. Every time your mind runs away, gently bring it back. Like training a child, be firm but loving with your thoughts. Say to your mind, now, come back, be here. The more you practice this, the more you'll notice your life transforming. Not because the world changed, but because your presence did. That presence, rooted in God's gift of the now, is your real power. It's the secret to peace, the secret to clarity, the secret to inner balance. In the noise of our fast-paced lives, we often overlook a subtle yet powerful force shaping our inner state, our company. The people we surround ourselves with carry energy, influence, and vibrations that can either anchor us in peace or throw us into chaos. Imagine your mind as a quiet room. Now imagine every person you allow into your emotional space as someone stepping into that room. Some walk in with music, some with noise, some with wisdom, and others with conflict. If you keep allowing people who only bring their personal storms into your space, soon your room, your mind, will stop feeling like home. Your inner balance is sacred. It's not something to be tossed around casually, and yet most of us fail to guard it. We're constantly absorbing energies, words, and emotions from the people around us, unconsciously allowing their presence to shape our moods, our thoughts, and even our decisions. This is why the company we keep is not just a social choice, it is a spiritual one. Think of it like this. If you were thirsty, would you drink from a dirty glass? Probably not. Then why do we allow toxic, negative, or emotionally draining people to feed our minds and hearts every day? A spiritually clean inner circle doesn't mean you only stay around perfect people. It means you choose people who are trying to grow, trying to stay honest, trying to connect with a higher purpose, and trying to live with values. These are the kinds of people who, even in their imperfections, uplift your spirit. Let's look at a real life example. Imagine two friends. One always sees the worst in every situation, constantly complains, gossips, and fuels your anger. The other reminds you to breathe, to reflect, to respond with kindness, and to focus on what you can control. Which one leaves you feeling lighter? Which one leaves you drained? Over time, the one who feeds your mind with negativity will exhaust your soul, no matter how entertaining or familiar they are. And the one who reminds you of your values and your connection to something divine will create space for balance and strength in your life. We must become intentional about the emotional environment we live in. A clean inner circle is not about cutting people off with pride. It's about honoring your peace with humility. It's about recognizing that your time, energy, and mental clarity are precious. It's about understanding that when your soul is surrounded by people who speak the language of growth, faith, patience, and wisdom, you naturally begin to transform. You begin to think more clearly. You feel more aligned with the calmness of the divine. You start to make better choices, not because life becomes easier, but because your mind becomes stronger. We clean our homes, we filter our water, we protect our passwords. So why don't we protect our peace? We must start filtering our inner circle with the same awareness. Are the people around you helping you evolve, or are they making you revolve around drama, fear, and ego? Are they drawing you closer to your spiritual center or further away from it? This doesn't mean we hate or judge those who are negative. In fact, we can love them, help them, or pray for them. But we don't have to make them the loudest voices in our lives. Sometimes, the most compassionate thing we can do is love someone from a distance while protecting our peace from a place of balance and maturity. Let's also not forget that being part of someone else's inner circle means we must take responsibility for the energy we bring into their life. Are we spreading calm or chaos? Are we helping our friends connect with peace or drowning them in our own storms? Spiritual cleanliness is not only about protecting your mind, it's about being a source of light for others too. In the end, a clean inner circle is like fertile soil. When you plant yourself in it, you naturally grow. Your faith strengthens. Your reactions soften. Your goals become clearer. Your connection with God deepens. It's not just about staying away from negative people. It's about surrounding yourself with people who reflect the qualities you want to cultivate: honesty, simplicity, compassion, wisdom, and a sincere desire to grow spiritually. The journey to unshakable inner balance isn't a lonely one, but it's not for everyone either. You must walk with those who don't just talk about peace, but live it, seek it, and honor it. When you find those souls, hold on to them, nourish those relationships, and just as importantly, become that soul for someone else. Because at the end of the day, peace is not something we chase, it's something we choose. With the right thoughts, the right focus, and yes, the right people. She walks with purpose, speaks with grace, and stands like a mountain, unshaken by the storms of judgment, opinions, or expectations. She's not arrogant, she's aligned. She's not cold, she's composed. She's not unreachable. She's just on a path few dare to walk. This is not a mindset given. This is a mindset earned. The mindset of a high-value woman. In a world that constantly tries to label women, define their worth through likes, attention, or appearance, a truly high-value woman does not seek validation. She radiates from within. She knows her value is not measured by applause or acceptance. It's measured by how rooted she is in her values, how strong her connection is with the divine, and how unwavering her faith is in herself. She doesn't react to pressure. She responds with wisdom. She doesn't chase love. She builds it within. And above all, she remains untouched, not by isolation, but by inner liberation. Because when your worth comes from God, no human can ever take it away. Today, I'm not here to tell you how to become someone else. I'm here to awaken what already exists within you. The divine strength, the quiet fire, the untouchable mindset. Let's uncover the 7 truths of a high-value woman whose mindset is beyond reach, but not beyond realization. ChatGPT said, she derives her worth from within, not from the world. This one truth can change a woman's entire life, because the moment she stops chasing validation from the outside, she begins to taste a rare kind of freedom. The kind that only comes when you know who you are, without needing the world to remind you. From a young age, most women are conditioned to believe that their value lies in how they are seen by family, by friends, by society, by social media. She's taught that her appearance should impress, her tone should please, her achievements should compete, and her identity should conform. But the high-value woman knows this is an illusion. She sees the traps hidden beneath the praise. She realizes that if her worth is based on what others think, it will rise and fall like a wave, unsteady, unpredictable, and exhausting. She no longer allows people's opinions to be the mirror through which she sees herself. Instead, she builds an inner mirror polished with self-respect, confidence, and faith. It reflects the light she carries within, a light not given by society, but by God. Imagine a lotus flower. It grows in the dirtiest of waters, surrounded by mud and murk. But when it blooms, not a single drop of dirt touches its petals. It's untouched by the mess around it because its roots go deep. That's how a high-value woman lives. Her roots are in her values, in her spiritual foundation, in her self-awareness. So even when she's surrounded by judgment, noise, or superficial expectations, she stays pure, strong, and unshaken. In everyday life, this shows up in powerful ways. She doesn't overthink when someone ignores her. She doesn't lose her center when someone criticizes her. And she definitely doesn't mold herself to be more likable, just to be accepted. When she walks into a room, she doesn't hope to be noticed. She knows she belongs. Whether anyone claps or not, she claps for herself. There's a young woman I once knew who worked in a corporate office where being soft spoken was mistaken for weakness. She was constantly told she needed to be louder, more aggressive, more boss like. For months, she tried to force herself to fit that image. She dressed differently, changed her tone, even tried mimicking the leaders she saw. But the more she did, the more she lost her confidence. Until one day, she decided to return to herself. She led not with volume, but with wisdom. She didn't bark orders. She inspired with clarity and calm. Slowly, her team began to follow her lead not out of fear, but respect. She didn't need to become someone else to be valuable. She just needed to honor who she already was. That's the untouchable mindset. You see, a high value woman doesn't need a crowd to feel seen. Her self worth is her constant companion. Even in silence, she feels powerful. Even in loneliness, she feels whole. Why? Because her relationship with herself is rooted in truth, not trends. She knows the world may try to define her by how she looks, who she marries, or how much she achieves. But she defines herself by how she lives, how she loves, and how aligned she is with the higher purpose she was created for. When others tell her, "You're too quiet," she hears, "You're peaceful." When they say, "You're too sensitive," she understands, "You're deeply aware." When they say, "You're too different," she smiles and thinks, "Exactly." She no longer takes rejection personally because she knows her value isn't negotiable. It's not based on being chosen, it's based on being complete. And it's not arrogance, it's not ego, it's spiritual confidence. It's the kind of strength that comes when a woman looks in the mirror and sees not just her reflection, but her essence. She sees a soul, not just skin. She sees growth, not just goals. She sees herself, not through the filter of others, but through the clarity of God's design. That is why she cannot be shaken by temporary opinions. Her worth is not a performance, it's a presence. It doesn't depend on applause, it doesn't waver with criticism, and it certainly doesn't need permission to exist. So when the world tries to tell her she's not enough, she gently disagrees, not with anger, but with certainty. When someone tries to define her story, she reclaims the pen. Because she knows her value was never theirs to give, it was always hers to realize. And the day a woman realizes her worth is not in her status, her salary, her social following, or her relationship status, but in the quiet, powerful truth that she is already whole. That's the day she becomes untouchable. Not because she distances herself from the world, but because she rises above the noise of it. That's what makes her high value, and that's what makes her unstoppable. When we talk about anchoring the mind in the present, it may sound like a simple idea, yet it's one of the most profound spiritual practices that lead to true inner balance. Most of our suffering comes from either dwelling on the past or obsessing about the future. But life is not happening in the past or the future. It's happening right now, in this very moment. And if we miss this, we miss everything. The mind, by nature, is restless. It jumps from one thought to another, like a monkey swinging from tree to tree. One moment, you are remembering something painful that happened years ago, and the next moment you're fearing something that hasn't even occurred yet. This constant mental time travel takes away your ability to be calm, peaceful, and focused. But what if we could bring our mind back home, into the now? Think about a student preparing for an exam. He sits with his books open, but his mind is filled with thoughts like, what if I fail? Or, why didn't I study last week? These thoughts are not helping him study. They are draining his energy. He is mentally trapped in the past and the future, while the only time he can actually make a difference is now. When you learn to bring your attention fully into the present, you begin to work with your full potential. Your decisions become sharper, your focus becomes deeper, and your inner balance becomes unshakable. Even spiritually, the divine presence of God can only be experienced in the now. God is not sitting in your past regrets or your future anxieties. He is here, now, waiting for you to show up. Another example is when someone goes through a heartbreak. The pain feels unbearable. The mind replays what was said, what went wrong, and what should have happened. The person stays stuck in the same emotional loop, hoping for a different past. But life doesn't work like that. The more we revisit the past, the more we bleed in the present. Healing begins the moment we stop asking, why did it happen to me? And start asking, what can I do now to grow stronger through it? That shift, just that one shift, from past, focused thinking to present, grounded awareness, is the beginning of emotional freedom. You don't need to forget the past. Just don't live there. Sometimes we believe that by worrying about the future, we are being responsible. But worrying and preparing are not the same. Preparation is done in the present. Worrying is a useless habit that feeds on fear and drains your peace. Imagine a man who is going for a job interview. He prepares his CV, practices his answers, dresses up well, but instead of staying calm, he keeps thinking, what if I mess up? Or what if they reject me? All that anxiety is not helping him. It's weakening his confidence. What he really needs is to trust his preparation, stay rooted in the present moment, and let things unfold. That is inner balance. Mindfulness is not about sitting silently for hours. It's about being fully awake to what you're doing. When you eat, eat with presence.